Okay, I've got a couple of questions to ask you. Number one is how the specialist assesses and revises a systematically integrated curriculum, both horizontally and vertically, that engages all students in rigorous relevant academic challenges across the academic disciplines.
Okay. Well, first of all, that's a very long question, and I do understand that it is important that you assess your curriculum, whether you're a kindergarten teacher or a chemistry teacher. And how you do that is basically look at the data, see what the data says, and if the students are improving in whatever discipline that you teach, or um, then it's working. If it's not, then you need to revisit and revise and change and make it better, where the students are mastering the standards that you're responsible for. In order to do that, you need to meet weekly, if not daily, with your grade levels, and during a shared planning where you're not just checking off a list that you're meeting. You're actually looking at what you're doing. You're looking at the lesson plans, and you're comparing and seeing, did this work for you? If not, how did you fix it? Or this is really working for me. You should try it in your classroom. So, as far as horizontal meetings, that's when that should occur, is daily during lunch, those types of things. But formal meetings should occur at least weekly, that you're analyzing your lesson plans and discussing that with your colleagues. Vertical team meetings can't unfortunately happen as often as we would like for them to. Our system tries to meet quarterly with K through 6, and then we have a secondary meeting where we look at what are the second graders doing and what are the third graders doing. What can we do to prepare our students more for the next grade? And you assess that by, again, tying back to the standards and tying back to um, if your students are mastering those particular standards. Um, you have to look at a variety of forms of data. It can't just be an Aspire score. It can't be a STAR score. If you use Ames Web, ThinkLink, or we're using actually the new Chalkable assessment. Sorry, my phone's ringing. We're using actually a new Chalkable assessment that we will look at skills. You have to look at just a variety of things, even their attendance. So you do that through vertical and horizontal meetings, but and how you revise is, you revise. You change your curriculum if you need to. I could go on and on and on. Sorry, but an example of that is Go Math. Go Math immediately came out right when the math standards um, were new, and they came out and they didn't exactly support all of the standards. But our teachers are good enough that they noticed it, and they add supplemental materials to make sure that they are integrating systematically. Systematically integrating, all of our content areas across the curriculum. For instance, in math, they are incorporating literacy standards and speaking and listening, and a variety of different other types of technology standards as well.
All right, thank you. How do you assure that instructional objectives and curriculum goals are aligned?
Well, I just touched on that because of Go Math. That's my one example, but there's several examples. You have to look at your curriculum, and if you're doing a butterfly unit just because you like the butterfly unit and you're not supposed to cover life cycle of a butterfly in 6th grade, then it doesn't align, and so you should probably reevaluate your curriculum. One thing I believe is, if you're going into a classroom to coach or to just be another set of eyes, you need to look at the I can statements and look at what their daily outcome is and their target, and when the kids leave your classroom today, what are they going to be able to do, and does that align to what every other second and third grader or chemistry student is going to be doing in Alabama.
Okay. All right, number three is how do you lead and motivate faculty members to adhere to the prescribed state standards?
Well, a lot of it is you've got to be visible in the classroom. You have to be in there, and you have to, understand that, make sure the teacher understands that you're not there as a know-it-all. I don't know all the standards K through 12 in every subject area, and I never will. But it's very important that they understand that you're just there to support, and you can provide resources. For instance, the Insight tool is a valuable resource that actually unpacks all the standards for you. It breaks it all the way down to the skill, teacher vocabulary, student vocabulary, and I don't think we use that enough. And we spent months and months unpacking the Alabama Course of Study standards years ago, and now it's done for you in a handy-dandy Excel spreadsheet that you can click everything. So if you provide those resources and show them that you're learning those together, then that's how you can support and motivate.
Okay, how do you work with all stakeholders to identify instructional and curricular needs that align with district shared visions and the available resources?
Well, I mean, every school, every school's and every school district's vision has to do with producing productive citizens that are able to function in society. So you have to talk to your insurance agents, your engineers, your garbage collectors. You've got to talk to everyone in your community to see what are we lacking, what are are students not able to do when they graduate. And once you get that information, you can kind of plan backwards, and scale all the way down of, we need to work on soft skills, or their math. We have over half the kids that go to Gaston State or Sneed, and I'm just making up this number, that need math remediation. Then, and we have discovered that, but we're fixing it, and our math scores are jumping up every year. And so you have to be able to talk to workforce and higher ed to see what the problem is, and be humble enough to admit, well, you know what, we need to fix that. That's a big thing that we need to work with. You need to survey your community, work with your federal programs and your CFO and people and other principals across your district to make sure that your funds align to your goal. If you're going to focus on writing, then you're not going to spend $10,000 on math. If you're going to focus on math, then you need to make sure all of those types of fiscal resources align as well.
How do you work with your staff and others to establish and accomplish goals? So how do you, bring the team together? What
I like about this question is it's not my goal. It should be their goal. And so in order to motivate and to get them to work towards something, is you got to give them ownership. And so I'm just a facilitator. I just kind of throw things out there and say, what is our current reality? What are we doing now in our school? And how you do that is you look at data, whether it's visiting classrooms or looking at STAR tests or looking at instructional round data. That's the fine grain evidence that you can see in the classroom that's going on or not going on. And you look at your current reality, and then you say, well, where do we want to be? And they determine those goals, not me. And my job is just to provide everything I can to get them there, not me getting them there, but us getting there together. So.
Okay. And you kind of elaborate on this a little bit about being in the classroom more, but how do you monitor and assess instructional program activities and materials?
There's a variety of different ways that you can do that. We use the Elliott tool, which is supported by Advanced Ed. That's what they use when they come in to do an accreditation process. And it talks about the 7 different learning environments. And so I need to do a better job of sharing that information, but we just started. That gives you a lot of valuable information about technology and student engagement and if higher order thinking questions. There's a variety of different aspects that it covers. So if you go into a classroom, the important thing is making sure you're sharing that with the teacher, other than just saying, oh, thanks, you did a good job. You have to give them real information, because otherwise you're just saying, hey, I'm just coming to your classroom.
Yeah,
I got so tired of people when they come in my room, hey, this is such a great lesson, but why? Tell me why. Yeah. What did I do? Or, there's got to be something I did wrong, so just be honest with me and say, oh, well, maybe what do you think about this? And if you show the data to them, if you do a real class observation of writing down, word for word, what students are doing and saying, and then letting the teacher come to the conclusion of what was missing, or what she thought went well actually maybe didn't, or what she thought didn't go well actually maybe did. So you have to show that kind of data to them. And And you need to look at student work too um, to see if they're mastering the standard.
Okay. How do you use diagnostic tools to assess, identify, and apply instructional improvement? Which I think is kind of what you just went over some.
Yeah. Well, the whole point of a diagnostic tool is to see where your kid is before instruction. So I'm looking forward to our chalkable assessment that we'll give 3 times a year, but I really want to make sure that we can drill down to specifics, and it's not just integration of knowledge and ideas. I mean, what is it? Can the kid not make inferences? Can he not, draw conclusions? What is the specific skill that he or she is lacking? And so, if we can get an assessment like ThinkLink, that's a good one. But I'm hoping that Chalkable Assessment is going to give us specific skills that they're lacking and provide us instructional activities that we can do in small group to push those kids forward and master that specific skill.
Okay. Three. I got three left.
Oh, I didn't see those.
Okay. These are just kind of
Okay.
just give you your opinion and stuff.
Okay.
The greatest difficulties of your position.
Okay. Oh wow, how much time you got? No, okay. Difficulties is just, there's a lot of political stuff that you have to deal with, and you have to protect that from your teachers. Like, you don't want them to know all that kind of stuff, and so that's difficult. But then again, that, I guess, that would be the only thing. And then of course, fiscal kind of things and money and making sure everybody can get what they need in order to teach their students.
Okay. What factors interfere with you achieving your goals and objectives?
Time. Time is our number one resource, but and my mom would always tell me, when I just don't have time to do that. When I was younger, even in high school, she'd always say, well, you have the same amount of time as, and she'd name all these, world leaders. I'm like, are you kidding me? And so you have to be able to manage your time very well, and sometimes that gets overwhelming.
Okay. Now, how would you characterize your curriculum as being implemented with these three choices: knowledge, centered, learner centered, or society centered? So, like, just the actual knowledge, which is content, the learner, the child, and then society is kind of like what you're talking about, the product you put out in the community.
Our curriculum, I would hope, to be learner centered, student centered. It's supposed to always be student centered. It shouldn't ever be about. If you're focusing on the student, then the other two are just going to come right along, because it's, society. If you're focused on the kid, you know all about the student and the learner, and you know what type of learner they are, they're going to function well in society, and they're going to obviously have the knowledge, because you're tying everything back to what he or she is interested in and teaching the standard at the same time.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thanks.